Welcome back to the Weekly Huddle podcast. I'm your host Owen, and as promised, as I said last week, I'm feeling a little better for my sickness, so I'm going to pump out a 2-round mock draft this week. So you can get an episode on Wednesday and an episode on Thursday, maybe Friday. Basically going over. I'm going to probably do it Thursday, so that way the draft order is still accurate before Thursday Night Football goes down. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to do episode 1 is going to be the first round mock draft. No trades. This is with the updated draft order after last night's Monday Night Football game. And then on Thursday, I will be dropping the second round. Again, draft order based on tankathon.com. They have the whole entire order, first round through 7th round right now. Obviously, we're not going to worry about like compensation picks and stuff like that in the second round, but Tankathon also doesn't factor that in right away. But this is based off of my personal rankings, and if you're interested to see what my personal rankings are as a big board, obviously this isn't going to follow. Like I'm not going to copy paste my big board into this. I've brought in fit and needs based on what these teams, what I believe these teams need, and what they're probably the direction they're going to be going in, and how I feel about them as a team right now. So I'm going to be modifying it a little bit. But if you want to check out what my big board is, and you want to check out other written mock drafts I have and get specific prospect breakdowns for all these players, go ahead and hit up KeelPro on Twitter or email him. His email will be on the screen. I'm not going to run the same ad as I usually do. But for this one, I'm just going to say, just check out the Dynasty Index. You got to check out KeelPro. He has an ad up on his channel. If you go to the front of the YouTube channel for the Weekly Huddle, the ad is up there as well. Check it out. Get in contact with him. He'll send you, it's $20 for a year, $3 a month. You get prospect breakdowns by yours truly, and as well as rankings of the skill position players by Caleb as well. We're starting to incorporate more of advanced statistics into each player with success rates and things like that, and a unique original statistics, so like stuff that you won't get at any other place. So you're going to get prospect breakdowns of scouting by me, different like comparisons and pros, cons, and film cut-ups from Caleb, Pro 88, and then also some advanced analytics from our newest member. So check that out. Like I said, $20 a month, $3 or $20 a year for the year, $3 a month. Just contact KeelPro88 on Twitter or contact him through his email. Like I said, the ad will be on the front cover of my YouTube channel. But now that all that set dressings out of the way, got the ad out of the way, let's get right into this. I do have a big change at the number 1 overall pick. I've been consistently, in the 2 mock drafts I've made so far on the Dynasty Index, I've consistently put Kayvon Thibodeaux at number 1 at the Detroit Lions. And now, this isn't an indication that Kayvon Thibodeaux is not the second best player in this draft class, as I believe so, and he's not the most impactful with the best position, the draft number 1 overall. It's just because the Detroit Lions are so inept offensively, and Jared Goff is not getting it done. They're not winning games because they can't get anything done on offense, and their defense is terrible. They have holes everywhere, and I think instead of drafting Thibodeaux, they have a decent pass rush right now. They have some decent players on the D-line. Obviously, they could add someone of Thibodeaux's ability, but I think getting that quarterback right or getting the future in the door, or someone who can come in and do like a Josh Allen type season when they went 6-10. Yeah, they went 6-10, but he was going out there making very athletic plays and getting some wins just because people underestimated them. And so that's why I have the Detroit Lions drafting my QB1, Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty. Willis didn't really, show all that much when he played against Ole Miss. And, he's had like a turnover kind of hot streak recently. So I'm not the most bullish on him right now, but I still think his athletic ability means he's the only one who has an elite trait in this draft class with his athletic ability. None of the other prospects had that elite trait, which can really justify them being drafted at number 1 overall besides Malik. So I think the Lions can bring him in, still roll with Goff because they're locked with him until 2024. But if they want a spark or they just want to add that extra dimension to their offense, they can just go ahead and start him and just let him go out there and roll like how the Bills did with Josh Allen. So I think that'd go a long way with fixing some of their offensive woes or at least make them fun to watch. And number 2, we got Houston Texans. They take Kayvon Thibodeaux. Oregon, their defense is terrible, and their team overall is pretty bad. I could take a quarterback here, but like at the same time, they took Davis Mills with their first pick last season. I feel like they're not ready to move off him just yet. They knew that they probably looked ahead, because NFL teams, they scout years ahead, which again, like us at the Dynasty Index, we have prospects already up there for the 2022-2023 season. Not many, but we do have some. Teams will, especially with quarterback, will scout ahead in future draft classes. And if there's like a Trevor Lawrence type that's coming out, if there was going to be a Trevor Lawrence type in this draft class, they probably wouldn't have taken Davis Mills. But they looked ahead and saw how weak this quarterback draft class was initially seeming, and they took Mills thinking, okay, I'd rather have this guy with this skill set and this mentality and this already, proven playing style. I'd rather have him and try to develop him over drafting one of the dudes the next season when they had a high first round pick. So, adding talent to that defense, adding the best pass rusher, I believe, in the past couple of years. I personally like him more than Chase Young. He just needs to have, he needs to work on his pass rush moves. But outside of that, he's just the most freaky athletic edge rusher. I think he's probably even more athletic than Myles Garrett was. He's got Von Miller's athleticism, Myles Garrett's power, Chase Young's power, Myles Garrett's just physique. It's insane. He's like the perfect edge prospect. He just needs to get some of that technique down, which can be improved with coaching. At number 3, we have New York Jets taking offensive tackle Evan Neal at Alabama. They lost Mekhi Becton to injury, and yes, that's probably gone a long way to why their offensive line is so poor. But just imagine the skyscrapers of Mekhi Becton at left tackle and Evan Neal at right tackle, or even Evan Neal at guard, because he has experience playing guard as well. So if you bring this guy in, all it is help your offensive line more. You get Zach Wilson in a clean pocket, and maybe he can settle down those wild tendencies he has. So I think bringing an offensive lineman in with his first pick, because they do have another pick at 7. And there's plenty of round 1 corners, and I'm not that high on Derek Stingley. I'd rather them take an offensive lineman, keep Zach Wilson safe, and then move on and look for a corner at the next pick. Jacksonville Jaguars, they get the best player in this draft class at 4 with Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. Jacksonville has corners they like. Their pass rush, as they saw against the Bills, is pretty decent. They got Clavon Chason and Josh Allen and Taven Bryan emerged in that game. And they got pieces on that line. And there's no really interior defensive lineman outside of like the Marvin Leal I would take here. And like I said, they have some decent corners, and they have Trevor Lawrence and some decent weapons on offense with running backs and wide receivers. So there's not really an offensive lineman outside of there's 2 of them here that I probably would take with this pick. But I think Kyle Hamilton just makes an impact and really solidifies that secondary. So you can come out next year and win games with good defense and allow Trevor to not have to play hero ball and try to win games by scoring a lot of points. You can win those 9-6 games against top 10 or top end talent because you have this lockdown defense. And especially when Urban Meyer's gone, they'll definitely want to rely on a strong defense while they bring Trevor Lawrence along with the new system. Number 5, Philadelphia, on behalf of the Miami Dolphins, take Derek Stingley, cornerback out of LSU. Stingley is riding a lot of reputation right now. If he didn't play so good in 2019, he probably wouldn't be my cornerback 1 right now. But he's just so freaky athletic. Like, they were going to play him on offense this year at LSU, but unfortunately the injury knocked him out for the season. He was so beyond his years mentally and in coverage, and is such a freaky athlete that I feel like you still have to take him top 5, maybe top 10, based on that resume and those traits, even if he hasn't really repeated that kind of talent he has shown. So even though I maybe like a couple more corners better than him in this draft class, I think that his resume and all that other stuff makes him a good fit. And Philadelphia just needs to add players. Right now they're winning by beating teams in shootouts or catching teams with their athletic quarterback play and things like that from Jalen Hurts. So I think Jalen Hurts has played himself into another season where they don't try to bring another quarterback in to push him. I think that they could probably hang their hat on some good pass defense. If they can get their offense together like they have been, and they have 3 picks in this first round, so get that defense fixed, and then just keep rolling that offense out. See if Jalen Hurts is really the real deal, and then move on from there. The New York Giants selected Marvin Leal. Again, another team where you don't really know if Daniel Jones is the answer. And if you can win games, if you're not winning games right now with the offensive weapons you have there, maybe Daniel Jones isn't. But I don't think you take a quarterback here. I don't think there's any confidence in any of the quarterbacks right now that could come in and play better in year 1 than Daniel Jones is playing for you right now. You get Saquon healthy, you get Kenny Galladay healthy, you get Kadarius Toney starts to emerge. You got Who's the other wide receiver? I am blanking, brain fart right now. On Sterling Shepard. You have some decent weapons. The offensive line needs to be fixed, but we'll get to that eventually. And I just had this really awesome idea of playing DeMarvin Leal next to Leonard Williams. It would just be DeMarcus Lawrence. That's just like an elite front three in a 3-4 defense. You don't even really need those rush linebackers to get pressure. Put Lawrence at nose tackle, and then Leal and Williams on the DN spots, the 5 techs. Whew. I doubt any front three would look better than that. So I really like that combination, and then they can start winning games with defense and really keeping their offense in it, and so strong defense, and then get Saquon going. So that would probably be my mentality going into this. If Joe Judge is staying, that's probably the mentality he'll have with that Patriots background. Number 7, New York Jets are up again with Seattle's pick, which I'm surprised they're picking this low, but then again, Russ has been out. They just lost to the Packers, so I mean, this is where I want to take the corner for them. Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington. A lot of people aren't as high into him as I am, but he reminds me a lot of Tre'Davious White. 5'11", 190, plays bigger than he is. He's got the swagger, excels in zone coverage, is very quick, and is just a very smart player, plays way bigger than he is, has good competitive toughness. His length suffers. If he was an inch or two taller, like 6'1", and like 195, he'd be my top corner in this draft class. But fortunately, he's kind of that smaller size. But the Jets will take him anyway. Great zone covered corner. Robert Saleh likes to run those zone coverages, and they just need added talent on the defensive back end. Especially if they're going to be losing Marcus May. And I know there's not really a safety here that would take, but adding corners would help soften the blow of losing one of their top safeties. New York Giants again now, representing Chicago. This is where we fix the offensive line. Tyler Linderbaum, center out of Iowa, is one of the best offensive linemen I've ever scouted. When you look on tape, he moves at a different speed than any other offensive lineman, defensive player in general. He just is so fluid in his movements, so explosive. And for a team that wants to be able to run the ball and Saquon, who can hit the outside really well, you can get a guy like Linderbaum who can come in and be this like Pro Bowl level starting center right away. And I think right now they have like Matt Skura or Billy Price at center. He is an immediate upgrade over that. You get him, you got Andrew Thomas, Matt Pert. I think Nate Solder's still kicking over there. And Will Hernandez. You got a half-decent offensive line. So, I mean, you can put him in there and you can start running the ball. And then, like we did on the defense, we added to that defensive front, run the ball, play strong defense. That's how you're going to win games in New York right now. It's not going to be the sexiest thing, which might not, entice the New York market. The Jets are probably going to be the more, loved team because Zach Wilson's going to be making those flashy plays. But that's not going to win them football games as much as this formula will. All right, so Washington football team. This was a tough one for me, but I took Kenyon Green, guard out of Texas A&M. I just didn't like what they had outside of Brendan Scherf on that offensive line, and Kenyon has experience playing at guard and tackle. He's kind of like Elijah Vera Tucker last year was, where he was a good offensive tackle in college, but he's a great guard. He's all around. He doesn't really have an elite trait, but it's a bunch of 8.5s and 9s out of 10s instead of a lot of 10s out of 10s. So I think that just adding another great offensive lineman in there, you might be able to roll with Taylor Heineke and win games with him, or maybe pick up a quarterback in the second round. We'll see tomorrow if they do that, and then just try to win games with that, or bring in like a veteran. So you say like maybe they can make a trade for Derek Carr if the Raiders sour on him, or Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that. They can make a play for those guys, and then just have a good offensive line in front of them. Their defense is gonna bounce back. They have too much talent not to, so I feel like just building the offensive line, Brendan Scherf, Kenyon Green, and then give that tackle situation a fix and get a quarterback in there, and you should be good. At number 10, Philadelphia we're sticking with this theme of building up the defense, so that way Jalen Hurts doesn't have to play hero ball and try to win games, and you can really tell if, you let him calm down and see if he is the quarterback of the future. So we're going to give them Aiden Hutchinson, edge out of Michigan. I don't comp a lot of players. Like I said, I had a comp for Trent McDuffie. But, I mean, the comp for Aiden Hutchinson is J.J. Watt. He looks like J.J. Watt did at Wisconsin. It's kind of insane how freakishly similar they are. And if you can add a J.J. Watt style guy along with adding a corner like Derek Stingley, so now you have a pass rush and you have a great pass rush while also having really good corners in the backfield that can take the ball away. Is, usually you try to think of, what's better, a really good secondary or a really good pass rush? You can have both, and you upgrade both of them. And with these first two picks, you're setting your defense up to make these big splash plays and keep your offense from having to go out there and score every drive. Number 11. This is maybe an overreaction to recent events, but I have Atlanta taking Garrett Wilson, wide receiver at Ohio State. Great run after the catch guy. They have Kyle Pitts there, and you might think they might want to go quarterback here, but I think they have something in Josh Rosen, and really they're probably going to want to go with the Arthur Smith style offense where it's run the ball, play a lot of play action stuff, so you can get another guy in there that plays that. And if Calvin Ridley doesn't come back to this team, they need other weapons outside of Kyle Pitts. And imagine if Calvin Ridley did come back, and they had Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, and Garrett Wilson. Calvin Ridley's more that route runner guy who you look to get the ball to down middle, deep down the field because he can shake some dudes. Kyle Pitts is your mismatch out of the slot or tight end position, and Garrett Wilson is your gimmick guy. You give him touches, get him on the catch after the run kind of stuff. Short slants, get him on bubble screen, stuff like that. That really rounds out your offense, and you can do like RPO stuff with Garrett Wilson a lot with those bubble screen RPO stuff that you can really set up with a good running game. And you can probably grab a running back like Zach Charbonnet in the second or third round to really complement that. So I think this is a good move with or without Kevin Ridley on the roster. Kind of similar to how they drafted Ridley with Julio Jones on the roster still. But I think with Ridley may not coming back, whereas Julio was definitely coming back that season, kinda. It's a safety net for if he doesn't, and it's a bonus if he does. Number 12, Miami, on behalf of San Francisco, takes Ahmad Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. Let's just call a spade. They missed on Noah Igbenogany. He is terrible. Like, I know he only had been playing corner for one season after switching from wide receiver at Auburn, but like, he hasn't really developed into that dude they wanted to have. I know they have two great corners right now, but you need to have more than that if you're facing a team like the Buffalo Bills, and now the New England Patriots, and then potentially the Jets, 2 times a year each. You want to have guys who can cover, and Miami loves themselves some man coverage, and Ahmad Gardner is the man coverage of man coverage corners. Long, athletic, tall. He's not the best in run defense, and he's not the best in zone coverage, but man corners, they don't really factor much into the run unless it's a big run, because they're too busy, turning their backs to the play, running with a wide receiver, especially in this RPO era. So you got someone who excels in man coverage, putting him into a man coverage defense, getting 3 really good corners on one team. There's no way teams can throw on you. And then that's kind of countering like a team like the Buffalo Bills, who don't really have a run game right now. And they would be forced to have to beat you with their run game if you can cover all their dudes really well, man coverage-wise. Minnesota takes Andrew Booth, cornerback Clemson. Andrew Booth is more of that all-around kind of corner prospect where he does everything good, nothing really like elite. Before this season, he didn't have a lot of exposure, he didn't play a lot of snaps, but he looked amazing in the snaps he did play. Now with a bigger resume and a bigger sample size, he's good. I'm not going to say he's bad, he's around one corner, but he doesn't have this elite presence like some of the guys who have already gone do. So I think adding him into Minnesota, he'll be an immediate contributor, solid, maybe play some special teams for you. I know Mike Zimmer doesn't like drafting rookie corners or playing rookie corners right away, but they got to get it fixed after draft Gladney failed, and who was the other guy from UCF that they just cut or sent to the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't remember. Mike Hughes. They've missed on 2 rookie corners in the first round, and I think that they need to find someone to play corner there. And not waste the rest of Harrison Smith's career. Denver. Now, I usually like to give them Sam Howell here. That's one of my favorite player-to-team matches. They just needed someone who can distribute the ball. But now with the trading away of Von Miller, because they probably wanted to get out of his contract, and they knew that he was a free agent after the season, and Bradley Chubb has been injury-prone. I have him taking Drake Jackson, edge out of USC, to come in and take over for that Von Miller-style role. He's kind of similar to Bradley Chubb, where he's like that 3-4 outside linebacker, could reduce down to a 4-3 base defensive end. Super athletic, great pass rusher, needs to work on his run defense a little bit. But like USC used to use him all over the place. Like he goes out there and checks wide receivers. He drops in zone coverages. He has power, speed, bend. He just needs to work on the finer details of the game, and I think a defensive coach like Vic Fangio can really get the most out of him. So there's your Von Miller replacement, Denver. Don't get mad at me. At 15, Indy picks for the third time. We give him a cornerback, and we give him a pass rusher. Now we're going to help out the offense a little bit. Give him an offensive tackle, Jackson Kirkland, offensive tackle, Washington. As you throw back to when they played Tampa Bay on, was it Thursday Night Football? They don't like running the ball as much as they passing the ball, and they want to give Jalen Hurts the opportunity to pass the ball or run it with himself. And Jackson Kirkland is such a smooth pass protector. It was tough between him and the next offensive tackle that's going to come off the board, but I felt like he's a better pass blocker than the next guy, but doesn't offer as much in the run game. The pass blocking isn't that far off. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's just a very smooth, technical pass blocker that you add to the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Don't have to drag out not Jason Peters. Jason Peters on the Chicago Bears, but like you get what I mean. You get Tevin Jenkins at right tackle. You get Jackson Kirkland at left tackle, or put Tevin Jenkins at guard. Put Jackson Kirkland at left tackle. Move your left tackle to right tackle. It gives you an ability to tweak your line a little bit, while as well protecting Jalen Hurts and allowing your offense to come out and capitalize on your now all of a sudden splashy, talented defense. 16, halfway done, we have Cleveland Browns. He hasn't played all that well this season, but the skill set that Chris Olave brings, I think would be perfect to replace what Cleveland lost with Odell Beckham Jr. He's not going to be, this drama dude because, he's rookie, but he brings that elite route running and that size that you're losing with Odell and Jarvis. I wanted to give him a couple other guys, like maybe a Treylon Burks, but I think Treylon works best as you give him touches, he works out of the slot, even though he's a bigger bodied guy, but that's where Jarvis Landry's role really is in this offense. And I think Chris Olave gives you that, mid to deep level elite route runner who can get open and allow Baker or whoever is playing quarterback in 2022, being cheeky, come back tomorrow, and a chance to really find somebody off the play action, stuff like that, where he can lose corners. So even though he hasn't been playing the best, I think Chris Olave's skill set really meshes well with what the Cleveland Browns need at wide receiver. 17, Cincinnati. This is the player I wanted to give Cincinnati the last mock draft I made on the Dynasty Index, but they were too good early in the season, so in the draft order, they were too high up. Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Again, like Kenyon Green, good at everything, great at nothing. Okay, that's kind of harsh. He's good to great at a lot of things. He's just not elite in one specific trait. The closest thing he is to being elite at something is the pass blocking, which I think he's one of the better pass blockers. He's probably right behind Jackson Kirkland, maybe behind Evan Neal as well as a pass blocker. And he's just a sound technician. You get him in there. You don't have to have Riley Reif at tackle anymore. Maybe kick Jonah Williams to guard. If you do want to bring Riley Reif or find a different answer at right tackle, kick Charles Cross over to right tackle. You can do a myriad of different things. And this is, really completes that offense for Cincinnati. Now all they would need after this is maybe a tight end, maybe. So yeah, I just really think they need one more piece set on the outside for offensive line, and this would fill what they're looking for. Now, that 17 we have Las Vegas, 18 we have Las Vegas, and they just lost Henry Ruggs because of tragic events. And I wanted to give him a deep threat, but no one on the board really matched that description. So I just gave him my next best wide receiver. Treylon Burke, wide receiver out of Arkansas. Big-bodied guy, makes big plays despite lacking elite physical traits. He's not really a deep threat dude. He's more of a gimmick touch kind of guy. But you can grab a guy in free agency like John Ross if he comes available again. Maybe if the Patriots cut Nelson Aguilar, you can bring it back. John Brown, you can bring him back. There are a bunch of options. Deshaun Jackson, they have Deshaun Jackson right now. You can bring in speedsters to stretch the field. Treylon Burks can work the middle of the field and work those bubble screens, work all those plays that like you would gimmick to Henry Ruggs to get him the ability to run after the catch with his speed. Treylon Burks does without the speed, but he's got the size and the savviness as a runner with the ball in his hands to really capitalize on those. So it's not an exact one-for-one Henry Ruggs, copy, but I'm going to say that he can fill a Henry Ruggs role, whereas someone else after the catch, whereas someone else fills his role as the deep threat speedster kind of guy. Number 19, Carolina. Now, I know they brought back Cam, but the future of the quarterback room on this team is not currently on the roster. And Matt Rule, gambled on Sam Darnold, didn't go well. Give him a chance. If I'm Matt Rule, this is the move I'm making, because I'm telling the owners, right, okay, this buys me another 3 years, because I'm going to draft Matt Corral, quarterback at Ole Miss. I'm going to tell them, he's not going to be the best quarterback he can be. Give me 3 years. And they'll be like, all right. They'll give verbal confirmation. Okay, they give him his blessing for this pick. He makes his pick. He's got another 3 years to work and not have the pressure on him. And Matt Corral is that kind of guy who, if he gets the right coach in the NFL, could be like the Patrick Mahomes of this draft class, where he was kind of limited starter, had put up big numbers, never really won a lot of games. But he has like this untapped athletic and arm potential and all this like playing potential. So I think I'm very high on Matt Rule as a coach, and I think if you put Matt Corral under his wing, under his tutelage, and maybe keep Sam Darnold's there for another season anyway, or play Cam or PJ Walker, whoever plays there, and let Matt Corral sit and just marinate under Joe Brady and under Matt Rule, I think that this guy could be special in the league. Chargers at 20. I'm going to keep mocking this. He's not a round one prospect for me, but the match of player to team is so perfect, and I don't think that he would make it much farther past this because of how special of a player he is. Jordan Davis, D-tackle out of Georgia, to the Chargers. They've been looking for that disruptor in the middle of the defense for years. They took 6'6" Jerry Tillery, hasn't done diddly shit for them. Ooh, I just swore. Oh well, this is getting an explicit mark then, I guess, on the pod. But there is no way they can keep going with, they have good edge rushers, they have decent corners, they have good linebackers, their offense is awesome. They need that presence up the middle so they don't get run all over. And Jordan Davis is a nose tackle who brings elite level explosiveness and quickness for somebody his size. He should not be able to move the way he does at his size. He does one thing well, but he does that thing so well, he breaks my grading system, and he probably will break the NFL. Jordan Davis to the Chargers, that is the missing piece they need in the defense, especially on the defensive line. That's what they've been looking for since 2016. New Orleans, they take Kenny Pickett, quarterback out of Pitt. This is going to be the last of my round one graded quarterbacks. I'm not saying this is the last quarterback taken in round one, but none of them are going to be graded as round one quarterbacks anymore. The Saints are rolling with Trevor Siemian over Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill is a very expensive gadget player. I don't know why they paid him as much as they did. They're just going to use him in this role. Sean Payton likes him a lot. But I think they want to go back. This is why they're rolling with Trevor Siemian and why they worked well with Teddy Bridgewater and, why they weren't that great under James Winston. They need that game managing, accurate, decisive, smart with the football quarterback. Kenny Pickett doesn't turn the ball over. He's accurate. He's more of a pocket quarterback, but he's a leader. He's got experience. Draft him. Play in a dome, so his small hands shouldn't be a problem, and you play in the South, so there's not a lot of weather concerns. Bring Kenny Pickett in here. You can utilize that offense, get the ball into Michael Thomas's hands, and then pick up some other, wide receiving talent. Maybe steal Chris Godwin from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in free agency this year. Maybe, spoilers, grab a wide receiver in the second round. Who knows? Maybe I might do that tomorrow. But, yeah, bring Kenny Pickett in and get back to that Drew Brees-style offense that Sean Payton wants to run. New England takes George Karlaftis, edge out of Purdue. This team doesn't have a lot of needs. Their offensive line is good. Maybe they need an upgrade at left tackle over Isaiah Wynn, but there's not really a player I really would be comfortable giving them to start over Isaiah Wynn at this very moment, at this position. I think that George Karlaftis is like that. He's like Calais Campbell. And I think they having that piece on that 3-4 defense, a hybrid 3-4 defense, moving him from D tackle to D end, maybe some outside linebacker rushing positions. the Belichick will be able to use him as a defensive chess piece, and he's so good. I still maybe have him graded a little lower than I probably would like to, but I have to go back and rewatch him again. But I've moved him up so many times, grade-wise. He's a borderline first-round prospect for me, and he's so good at what he does, and I think Belichick, with the defensive mastermind he is, will get the best out of him and will fit perfectly into that Belichickian defense, where he has more of these athletic pass rushers on the outside, like a Matt Judon, and have this giant bruiser just penetrating the inside, either at the 5 tech or at the nose in his 3-4, or even as like a 4-eye kind of thing, as he brings like another edge rusher out of his hybrid thing. So he'll use him. He'll use him so phenomenally. KC at 23. I know he's had a couple redemption games, but get the Daniel Sorensen. No, this is already an explicit episode. Get Daniel Sorensen the fuck out of there. Get a competent coverage safety who is falling despite his talent level, despite how good he was, for how young he was at Northwestern. Drop Daniel Sorensen, get Brandon Joseph in there, capitalize on the fact that the only reason he's falling is because he's having an average season. He was so phenomenal last year that an average season is making him drop out of the top 10. Like, that doesn't make any sense, and the Chiefs would kill to have a dude like that, that's that responsible on the back end, playing for their defense with Honey Badger. Get Brandon Joseph next to Honey Badger, and I forget who the other safety they have is. You drafted him a couple years ago. It's escaping me right now, but you bring him in, and I think that fixes your back end right there. You have corners in L'Jarius Sneed and stuff like that, so I think just fixing the safety position is going to go a long way to helping your pass defense. It's been a joke, just target number 49 on defense when they're out there on passes. So, I mean, if you can replace him with someone who can bring it, which he has. Tampa Bay at 24, they're drafting for future needs. I was debating giving them a player to make up for Chris Godwin, but I couldn't pass up on the talent that Devin Lloyd brings as a linebacker, the only round 1 graded linebacker in this draft class. And when Levante David leaves, pairing, he will be a perfect... Levante David's only going to be here for like another season or 2. I know they signed up for like 4 or 5 years, but the contract is structured so that way they can cut him after that 2 seasons and be on the hook for no money. So he's going to probably want to restructure when that period comes up, and they're probably just going to let him go. And Devin Lloyd next to Devin White is insane to think about. I can't even picture it. Behind that front and with their talents, Devin Lloyd is low-key a Heisman candidate for how good he's playing on defense, how many tackles for losses. I think it's like 20-something tackles for losses and a bunch of sacks. He is insane. And Devin White is a similar kind of player. And you have 2 of those guys, and Devin Lloyd can play in coverage like Levante David can. I think that would be a scary linebacker duo for the next 5 years for that team. Pittsburgh, number 25. Big Ben's probably done after this season. I know Mason Rudolph is there, Dwayne Haskins is there, but if I'm the Steelers, I want a guy who can get the ball to players like Chase Claypool, James Washington, Juju if he's still there, Najee Harris. A quarterback who can rely on Najee Harris to be there and take that check down instead of trying to go for that deep ball every game. So I have him taking Sam Howell, quarterback out of North Carolina, and he also, surprisingly, offers a good, run element now. He's been rushing very, very well. As I don't know what the hell happened with him becoming a player who can make plays out of structure and has the athleticism to get these 100-yard rushing games so consistently, but he's got it, and it's just a thing that the Steelers haven't had the entirety of Roethlisberger's career. Like, yeah, he's a big body in the pocket, but he's not going to run it all. He runs like maybe once every other game, and that's only because he's been flushed. Sam Howell can give you maybe some read option or RPO or quarterback keeper plays, as well as being this precise, responsible quarterback who just gets the ball in his playmaker's hands. So Sam Howell to Pittsburgh, I think that's what they need to keep the offense moving the way they want to move it. Win with defense, and then just let your playmakers make plays. Number 26, Baltimore takes Daxton Hill, safety out of Michigan. This is another team that, when healthy, doesn't have a lot of holes in their roster. Like, I was maybe thinking about an offensive lineman or running back, but when those positions get healthy again, I know like maybe Alejandro Villanueva probably could be replaced, and there was a potential for me to go Darian Kennard here. But I think that bringing in Daxton Hill and putting him back there with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey and that secondary already so talented, having someone who could play the center field position because he's like a genuine 4-2 speed safety in Daxton Hill and cover everything over the top and let them play aggressive man coverage, I think that would be best for this Ravens defense and really get that Earl Thomas kind of like role replaced with probably someone who's even more athletic and better than Earl was at his later age, who won't make their own plays. Number 27, Detroit, courtesy of Los Angeles Rams, Kaiir Elam, cornerback out of Florida. Jeff Okudah has struggled immensely, and he's fallen out of favor with his coaching staff. They need to bring in their own ringer at cornerback. Kaiir Elam, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't enjoy his zone coverage skills at all, but as a man coverage freakish corner who can probably freakishly athletic corner who can probably learn to be better or at least semi-competent in zone coverage, go get him, bring him in. Dan Campbell can coach him up, and hopefully you can pair him up with other guys you pick up in free agency or later in the draft class and really just rebuild that defense because they need playmakers everywhere, and Kaiir Elam is a playmaker. Number 28, Dallas. Their defense makes splash plays, but Micah Parsons is a linebacker, and yes, he plays amazing when he lines up on the edge and rushes the passer, but that's not what he should be doing. So getting another edge rusher to match up with D-Law, even though D-Law's been kind of disappointing, and Randy Gregory, getting Majai Sanders in there from edge out of Cincinnati, he is this springy, explosive, long edge rusher out of Cincinnati who I think, and he's reduced down while playing for the Bearcats. He is reduced down into the inside role. Even though he's not that bigger body guy, he can still do that flexibility. And I think adding him to Dan Quinn's defense just gives you more consistency on defense. Whereas where they're relatively bad, but then they make these big splash plays and allows their offense to, get good field position and wins them some games. You get another pass rusher in there with the quality of Majai Sanders. Maybe he just rotates in as a situational third down pass rusher kind of guy, but you bring him in there so Micah Parsons can play his natural role and blitz from the inside, or maybe even pair him up with Majai Sanders, but have them both going outside and have Randy Gregory rush from the inside. Whatever, gives you a lot more versatility and just improves your overall defense and tries to get it to a more respectable, consistent rate. Buffalo at 29 got bullied by Jacksonville in the trenches. They got bullied by Pittsburgh in the trenches. They got bullied by Tennessee in the trenches. On offense. So this is one of my guys. He's probably not going to go in the first round. Me and only one other source I've seen have this guy in the first round, but you get this guy in here. He is a great pass protector. He can help you out in the run game slightly. Maybe it'll be a lateral move, if not a slight upgrade in the run game. I'm a big John Feliciano fan, but maybe he might be replaceable. We just gave him that big contract. If not, then he's been out of the lineup, in and out of the lineup consistently over the past few seasons. And Cody Ford is not good, guys. I have his signed jersey. I thought he was going to be something, but he's not good. And Ike Butker is a good backup guard, but you don't want him starting consistently. So bringing in Ed Ingram, guard out of LSU, similar to Kenyon Green, good at a lot of things. This is one I'm confident saying he's good at a lot of things, not great at any. You come in, he's an immediate, his floor is a top 20 guard, like in PFF. His ceiling is like maybe a 1 or 2 Pro Bowl kind of career kind of dude, but he will be consistent for you. He will allow you to shore up that weakness at guard you have, whether it's left or right guard, whatever one you want to play him at. I know they have Darrell Williams at right guard. He's been playing pretty well with Spencer Brown. The other tackle at right tackle. I don't remember what his name is. Oh, it is Spencer Brown. Yeah, Spencer Brown. Tommy Wiseau. Spencer Brown at right tackle. Darrell Williams at right guard. You got Mitch Morris. You could probably, if Tyler Linderbaum was here, I'd love that fit. But Mitch Morris, who's probably a little overrated for his contract. Then you have either Ed Ingram or John Feliciano, and then Deion Dawkins. It's not a bad offensive line. But Feliciano, I can't trust to stay healthy. And even though he's a locker room leader, he just hasn't been that good on the gridiron for the past, this season especially. So bringing someone in to win in the trenches and probably try to upgrade that run game, try to make sure Allen doesn't get pressure from the inside, is probably something you want to focus on in this draft. Arizona, I'm higher on this player than most people, but take it. Jaleel Billingsley, tight end out of Alabama. He is in a similar fashion. Now, he's not nearly the player this guy is, but he's in a similar fashion to Kyle Pitts. And they need to find consistent pass catchers that are below the age of 30. And I know they got rid of Max Williams, and he's on Carolina now, but they need to find, they got Zach Ertz, but he's not a long-term option. And you can see why they targeted Zach Ertz for a reason. They want a tight end who could be a playmaker for them. And Jaleel Billingsley as a receiver, maybe not as a blocker, maybe at all. He's more like an up-back kind of guy, or like a wing blocker. But as a receiver in this offense, Kyler Murray will love him. So add him to this receiving core, and you're doing great. So 2 more picks. Number 31, Tennessee takes. This is probably. I know it's bad to look ahead and be like, oh, I want to get this guy to this team. But if Baltimore passes on this guy, then Tennessee is the best fit for him, and I think you can't let him fall to Tennessee. If you do, it's going to be dangerous. But Darian Kennard, guard/tackle out of Kentucky, plays right tackle at Kentucky. The Titans need a right tackle, but I think he's better at guard. And if you think that Dylan Raduns is doing well at right tackle, then you just put him right at guard. When Derrick Henry comes back, having a dude who just run blocks so well as Darian Kennard does, and if you put him at guard, he's probably going to be a better pass blocker there than he is at tackle. There's no way you just run behind him every play. Darian Kennard and Derrick Henry, you just run. That's the combination. You run Derrick Henry behind Derrick Kennard every play, and you're getting 4 yards every play. There's nothing I can add. This just monster King Kong level destructor of an offensive line at right guard or right tackle. Derrick Henry will have a feast. He'll have 3 yards of space before the nearest defender can touch him, and we know how he does with contact. So perfect. My favorite player to team just pick in this entire thing, which sucks because I hate the Titans, but my God, this is why I love covering the draft, because imagine if they got Darian Kennard. And finally, with the last pick, courtesy to Caleb Killpro. Remember, check out the Dynasty Index. Hit him up. Killpro88 on Instagram, Killpro88 on YouTube. He's a Green Bay Packers fan, so I sent him a DM on Twitter like, hey, what's the Green Bay Packers' biggest needs on your opinion? First thing he said, offensive line. Now, I understand that. I believe they lost David Bakhtiari and they lost their center. So I went with someone I think could be a potential first-round pick. He's relatively new to the game, but he's this big athletic freak who is way better for someone, way better technique-wise than someone who's new to the game should be. And all you gotta do is, if you really care about his run blocking, then you might be hesitant to grab him. But I think that can be improved with weight training and better, run blocking technique feet-wise. But that is Bernhard Raimann, offensive tackle out of Central Michigan, transfer over from Europe. He's a big boy who can just pass block and move block like none other. He's like super fluent movement-wise, and if he just gets some more experience and gets coached up by this Packers offense, I think he'll be a great blindside blocker for Jordan Love going forward. Anyway, that's the first round of this mock draft. I'll be back tomorrow with the second round. I've already hinted at some of the picks, but if you're interested in see what your team picks, what other teams pick, or just see like the combinations of picks I can have now, I'll go through and I'll summarize everybody's picks overall at the end of the next one. But for right now, that's everything. Come back tomorrow to check out the rest of this mock draft. Has decent athleticism,